Everybody, Chris and Lumen here. Going to give you an update on where we are now, new things that I've learned. The funny thing about the tarot is it's not like totally like in order, and there's like little loops and stuff. Like you go here, go here, go here, go here. It can be a little bit confusing, but she was leaving clues. She left them in the last version of the intro for the channel. So I'm going to keep reiterating the steps that we've established so far, because I don't want to get too far ahead of people, but she wants me to start doing more work. So the first birth complete, still here, but apparently we're not done yet. And she explained the next part. So now we are at, well, I'll tell you here in a sec. It was a pretty interesting night last night, but we pretty much, I would say mastered, but have the ins and outs of the Divine Feminine down. So the first major step of the protocols is to break free of the influence of the left brain matrix and the black mirror. That's so you can start to hear her better. The next stage was coming to the realization that you are, the ultimate version of you is still in the womb. As long as you're in here, you're still in the womb. We don't see the big places while you're still wearing flesh. I revisited some stuff in the Nakamati last night. But there was a whole bunch of more birth and pregnancy type stuff that I hadn't shared. And this morning I was trying to determine, like, okay, I'm like, what do you want me to do now? And I saw an image of an egg, and there was a snake wrapped around the egg, and the egg was kind of moving. I swear I've seen this in a movie somewhere before, but for the life of me, even with the codex, I can't place where I may have seen it before. But so the snake's like looking at the egg. This kind of reminds me of Revelations 12 a little bit too, where the dragon's waiting for the woman to give birth. Anyway, the snake's looking at the egg and it's like getting ready, and then this glowing child's hand punches through the egg and grabs the snake by the throat and pulls it in the egg, and the egg's shaking and stuff, and then freaking egg cracks and the glowing child stands up and tosses the dead snake down. Oh, nice effects for the video. I like that. The golden child is born, the sun child from the tarot. And what is the most important thing about the sun child from tarot? He is at the end of the fool's journey, and he's learning to do things himself. So now we have to go back to an area that we do not usually touch on that much, because it's all pretty much been, girl power, Lumen and the mother and all that stuff here. Now we go back to the divine masculine, and we have to learn that. We have to learn to embrace the divine masculine, which is the divine authority. She said there are some cases in which you utilize this very well. You need to learn to utilize it with everything. So when we're battling stuff, clearing parasites out of people, or anything like that, yeah, I can do that. And I've known the big secret for a long time that I was really surprised to see in a movie called The Exorcism of God, in which the younger priest asked the older priest how to do it, and the older priest says, you do not do it by believing that God is with you, but by believing that you are God. Like, wow, they actually just threw that out there, didn't they? I didn't spoil the secret. But you need to learn to do that with everything. So that's why we have to continually never stop. Like, just because we're at another level doesn't mean we stop doing the original protocols, which is consistently every day using destruction, name number 72, Moom, to hammer the structure, of knowledge, to break down and destroy what you think you know, to break down and destroy all the connections to meanings, to words, to how you think things are supposed to work. Because one of the big things that you get stuck at is when you're constantly praying to the higher power to help you. This is why I said the other day she had me watch Clash of the Titans. I'm like, why are we watching Clash of the Titans? Well, there was a couple reasons for that, but one of the big things was Perseus was the half son of the god Zeus, and even when he started his hero's journey quest, the other guys were getting mad at him for not using his power and praying to his father, and he's like, no, I will do this myself. So he basically won the day by unlocking his own power and not asking for help. That's all over the Bible, the Nag Hammadi and stuff like that. You know, the Father was in the Son and the Son was in the Father. This is the mystery of the kingdom or something like that. We've talked before about how you have a fractal of the Father in you that's in between all these parts. So that part is already in you. So as long as you are not incorporating it and you just being the character or just being the son, like you're not embracing the full power of what you are here. So before we get out of the egg, we have to learn how to control the egg. Use that same, being fully backed and integrated with the Divine Mother and Lumen and all that, the whole Divine Feminine side. Now, oh geez, I just remembered that picture I use in the intros of the Rebus, where the Divine Masculine and the Divine Feminine together, and what are they doing? They're choking snakes. That's what we saw in the thing this morning. Anyway, I lost my freaking train of thought because of that. So as I was saying, we need to now exercise our Divine Masculine side, that we have within us, which is the power of your will, to impress your will upon things. All these things are part of like earlier things that I've done, like Mystical Words of Power, Section 1 and all this stuff. But like she said, you can do that very well if you and Lumen are beating on some parasite or something like that. But you need to learn to do it with everything. So it's like now you have to master the Black Mirror. The Black Mirror has been showing you stuff all this time. And now you need to force the Black Mirror to change. This is part of the Jesus equation, the very last part. Hand in place of a hand, foot in place of a foot, an image in place of an image. You need to use your Divine Masculine side to will the change that you want to happen, instead of realizing that all these parts are inside of you, which I'll go into more detail here in a minute. So we're going to go into that, and we're going to talk a little bit about the work that we do, because she made some alterations to it this morning's session, and it all comes down to utilizing that Divine Masculine power. So you might not think you're using the Divine Masculine power, and we've been mainly talking about the Divine Feminine all this time, but whenever you're locking horns with something, whenever you're this is kind of like what magic is, learning to use your will, but we're doing it from a more clean aspect. We've connected all our parts together. We've connected all these divine parts, and we're just not making demands from a lower part, like I am the master of my own destiny, and your higher self is like, no, you're not. You haven't integrated me yet. You got to integrate lumen. You got to integrate the mother. You got to integrate the son. You got to become the son. You got to become the father. You got to. It's this big crazy knot of family connections. That's all you. So if you want to know more, don't go away.
And I'm a savage. It's automatic. I got a way of making noise. The power to destroy, no static. 'Cause victory is all you need. So cultivate and plant the seed. Hold your breath and count to 10. Just count to 10. I'm gonna make it rain. So ring the bell. I know it all too well. Switchblade on the edge of your wrist. Can I get a witness? 'Cause agony brings no reward for one more hit and one last score. Don't be a casualty. Cut the cord. Cut the cord.
So it was very interesting earlier, after the whole Sunchild choking out the snake thing. She popped that song into my head. It's called "Cut the Cord" by Shinedown. So we're talking about cutting the cords. So I've been trying to make sure I'm like crystal freaking clear about this cut the cord thing. But I think what she means is now, what she means now is cut the cord from mommy and stand up and start using your power. You don't have to ask mommy, you don't have to ask daddy, because they're all part of you. You have to utilize that part. You have to like switch faces, go into father mode, go into mother mode. It just depends on what you're doing. You have to be in perfect balance, perfect harmony, and impress your will onto things. But that song is literally like, it's one of those songs where it's like there's a very clear message in it. And there was actually something in there where and this makes sense when you think about words and the breath of life and stuff like that. I almost think like this is a manifestation technique. Once you get into your divine masculine space, it says, I forget what the words leading up to it were, but hold your breath and count to 10.
Victory is all you need. So cultivate and plant the seed. Hold your breath and count to 10. Just count to 10. I'm gonna make it rain. So ring the bell.
So it's like hold your breath and speak what your intention is, what your command is. That's the other word that keeps coming up, command. She had one of the viewers talking to me, and she was talking through her and saying command. You know, you got to command things. When the Old Testament God, Demiurge in that story, said, command, let us make man in our image after our likeness. Command. Like, you need to command things. So she popped into my head. You need to go back to the two main divine authority names within the 72 names, which is Eshal and Yaha. Those are all about divine authority and being a good ruler. Anyway, so much stuff. I'm trying to sort it all out here. So she showed me that, but yeah, the other thing about that song, not only it having the message and all that stuff in it, is the cup. When I looked it up on, it'd been a while since I listened to it. When I looked it up on my music streaming, I remembered the cover of the album is an egg with a snake wrapped around it. Okay. Good one, Mom. Like, that's a lot of cross connects for one freaking reveal. Sun card, shine down, eggs, snakes, divine masculine authority, cut the cord. Now you're going to be the sun child, and you got to learn to do this on your own. You got to learn to accept your authority, and that's why we have to keep hammering the tower. We have to keep breaking down the knowledge. You cannot stop doing that. There is a lot of it, because there's a million little things that aren't going to like make a difference until you try to do something. So when she's teaching you this is how you put all this divine power together, your brain is still like, well, they taught me I was a little peon and I need to like pray to God and ask God. Yeah, you do. You can talk to him from that aspect, but that's part of you too. See, this is a big lesson. And a lot of people that are like in magic and stuff like that, they're still in the ego mind, and they're trying to, harness this lesson without understanding it, and making it a big ego thing. Me, big magician, me cast spell on you. Like, that's not it. Like, you have to go through the steps. You have to integrate all the pieces. You have to unlock the divine feminine. She has to free your mind. You have to figure out how you're all put together. Then you put all the pieces together. So I've got the divine masculine unlocked. Obviously, I got this far, but I've only used it really for certain things, like plugging into Lumen and connecting to her. Got to be the masculine to do that. And anytime that we do energy work, we're impressing our will upon the pendants, upon the oils. When we do energy work with people to clear out the parasites, we first do the code trick so we get on the same page. It's a bit like if you have ever done like a remote what's the word, IT or something, like have some guy from Best Buy send you a link, you log into the link, and now he can get in your computer and mess around. That's kind of like what we do. Like, yeah, we can do that, fine, but she's like, you need to learn to do that with everything else now. Every other part of your life. You need to start commanding it to change. You need to impress your will needs to greatly exceed, everything else. And one of the big things she wants me to do more of is this work that we do with people with the parasite, because the funny thing about the parasite is everybody thinks they don't have it because it's really good. It's been hooked into you forever, controls the mirror and everything. It's really good at convincing you that it's not there. And everybody thinks it's not there until we start working on them. And we start clearing out one room at a time. Boom, root chakra. Boom, sacral chakra. Once we start getting up in here, that's when people are like, okay, I'm starting to feel like this big lump in my throat. I'm starting to feel a pressure. I'm feeling like something's clamping down on my head. I'm like, oh, you mean the thing you didn't think you had? Okay. Well, let's just keep rolling with it. Boom, boom. She will sometimes guide me to stop. In this case, he wasn't feeling anything. And then she guided me to stop and ask, it's like, do you have issues with belief? And he's like, well, I was pretty much raised like atheist. I'm like, okay, let's circle back down to the root chakra. It's like, and we just explained, like, look at what you can see. You can see that no two people on earth believe all the same things. That is proof right there that we do not live in an objective reality. And all these people that are like, oh, science, are morons. They're fools. Because we can see that. We can observe it. No two people. There's 8 billion people on planet Earth, and you can't find 2 of them that believe all the same things. Manifestation, we've talked about this over and over. There's plenty. It really comes down to what you believe. So if you believe in nothing, or if your base programming was to believe in nothing, then that base programming is still going to be there. You're not going to be able to recognize and see things and let things happen. So we went back and we hammered clearing the non-belief. The other thing that she had me do new on this one that we never did before was she was focusing on clearing fear out of each of the chakras. She was specifically targeting fear energy as we moved up. And then when we got all to the way to the top, then he's like, oh yeah, felt stuff release. The pressure went away. We had to do the throat chakra twice. The pressure relieved from the head, and it felt like cool water pouring down, because now we just flushed out the parasite. And then she wanted to go ahead and go further, so we went up to the 8th chakra, which is the soul star, and we just went straight into the surrender stage. So in the past, when we did this, when we walk you through it and you meet Lumen, we were focusing on like past traumas, emotional stuff, but he kind of intuitively used that to let go of all the other, anything else he wanted to let go of. So it's like, I want to let go of, disbelief. I want to let go of, the way I think things work, old patterns. And he was just, I explained to him what to visualize doing with Lumen in the cup, and then you surrender it to her. She cleans the cup out, and then she does the chip swap. It's just a metaphor, but it works. It's a metaphor that works. Like, she goes into your head and pulls out this little red chip, like you're a cell phone, pulls out your Matrix mobile chip, puts that in the cup, and then she puts a blue chip in there, which is her Sophia wireless chip. And then when she dumps all the surrendered things out with the chip, that destroys it. Now all he has to do is continue to do the protocols. Now this hidden thing that he didn't think was even there is not going to get in the way. Now you get done. Now you go further faster. Because as long as you're like, no, I don't have a parasite, there's nothing there, it's going to significantly dampen your progress. Fact of the matter is, everybody does. Everybody does. It's part of the game. It's part of it. But when you got somebody that knows it's there and has the authority and the know-how and the help to rip it out, man, a piece of cake. You just saved yourself months worth of hard work just by having somebody remove the damn thing that is trying to tell you that it's not there. Now when you try to meditate, now when you try to do things, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to hear her and perceive her and get messages from her. And I love doing this. When we get done, I always say, all right, I'm going to be quiet for a minute. I just want you to, see what's different. And it's always the same thing. It's like your head goes quiet, because that thing is in there making noise. Think about this, think about that, think about this, hear voices, think about commercials, think about songs, think about movies, think about this, think about this, think about that, think about always something going on in your head. There's always something going on in your head. There's never any quiet in your head, because there's always something going on in your head. There's always something. Smack the freaking parasite, knock it the F out, rip it out, and guess what happens? It goes quiet. It doesn't go quiet because there wasn't something there. We've been doing this a long time. So that's something like, unless you want to go the long way like I did, hey, go for it. Let me tell you something, it sucks going the long way, but that's like one of the biggest things that we can do. And the other thing that she had me do differently this time, because when I do it, we include a pendant. She picks a pendant, and then what she had me do this time is, while we're doing the process over the phone, I'm holding the pendant in my right hand. The pendant is recording everything that we're doing, all the energy of the clearing. So that way, that's recorded into the pendant, and then we send it to the person. I'm like, that's a great idea. Why didn't we think of that before? It's like we weren't at a certain stage yet. It always gets better with time. There's always something bigger and better that comes along, or speeds up, or more efficiently. But either which way, it's like you don't have to get all like scared of the thing. It's just a freaking thing. It's just there. It's a part of the thing. You don't have to like blow it up in your mind to be like this big black dragon or whatever. I mean, we got to use symbols for things. And yeah, it does a lot of damage when you don't know it's there, or worse, if you believe that it's not there and you've never done anything to clear it. If you got noise in your head, like, trust me, people generally have it. The only time it's not going to work is on somebody that literally doesn't believe. Like, if I had somebody try to disprove me, like, I don't believe this is actual thing, well, you're not even like in alignment with this, so of course it's not going to work on you. But if you actually want it to happen, if you actually want to like get to another level, free yourself up, free your mental processes, we can do that. That will speed things up tremendously, especially since we have the protocols now. But she's got me focusing on, and I guess I've never actually been that comfortable with it. It always feels, she had to kind of explain how we've gone through a different set of steps now. Like, this is not your ego talking, but you have to learn to use that divine masculine father energy to command change. That's why she swapped me out from her divine feminine pendant to my divine masculine Christ consciousness sun energy yellow pendant. It's got Heliodor and all that stuff. It's funny, Heliodor is like the big one, and in Clash of the Titans, the second one, his son was named Helios. And then we were watching part of that I Pet Goat 2 video that had the snake and the egg in there as well, and that was called Heliofant, which never made sense until you're like, maybe that means, even though it's spelled differently, like Helio infant, sun child. Because that's what it shows. It shows person going through a process in that video, and the Christ consciousness moving through them. And what is the Christ consciousness doing in that I Pet Goat video? It's destroying everything. Then it comes out the other side of it, and he wakes up, and everything's crumbling behind him. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to work. So basically, I'm like, so are you telling me, like, you want us to go back to just wrecking shit again? She's like, yeah. But, I mean, it's different. It's more focused now. It's not like, oh, we got to go fight evil. We're not thinking of it like that. We're using that same intensity to just wreck shit. Break down towers, break down barriers, break down constructs. Like, that's how you do it. You have to break it all down. In order to create, you must first destroy. So she's like, use all you and them together. It's weird because it's like all these parts of me are talking. It's like, yeah, but you're me and I'm me and she's me and I'm you, and like, ugh. It's confusing. Use that divine masculine energy instead of first, just remember, you have to destroy first. So what most people would think is like, I'm going to imagine I got a shiny new red bicycle. I don't know, that was like something from the Secret movie or something. It's so silly. I'm using my willpower for the shiny red bicycle. But instead, it would be like breaking down all the constructs about why you can't have the bicycle. Breaking down the idea of not having it. Destroying that. Destroying what's already there. The reason you don't have it is because you've got this massive complex system of belief and mind that has rendered this particular result. And it's going to continue to render whatever the status quo is until you break it down. Until you start dropping bombs, until you start blowing stuff up. She's like, that's how you get out of here. You have to break it. You have to break it. Yeah, in the Nag Hammadi, Sophia breaks everything down. Or God breaks it down in the Bible. Somebody is wrecking something. Well, all those parts are within you. The Divine Mother, the Divine Father, you, Son, your lumen, Divine Spouse. You are the Son of the Father, and you are within the Mother. But you are also the Father, which means the Mother is your spouse, just like lumen. Like, I was doing this in my head last night, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so weird and confusing. But it's like, in Exegesis on the Soul, in the Nag Hammadi, it tells the story of like how I got lumen out. It's like lumen was suffering. Well, because when you're suffering, that's kind of like your lumen that's suffering, and you're just feeling your lumen suffering through the quantum entanglement, thinking it's you. So when I cleared myself of all that past trauma stuff, I actually cleared lumen. And that moved her in a place where she could be restored. Well, in the Nag Hammadi, it's saying the Father is the one that did that. The Father heard the suffering of the soul, and the Father healed her and restored her, and then moved her to the place where she would, set up the bridal chamber. And then she would be connected to her husband, which was me. So it's like you're playing all the parts. You get that? It's not just you. It's not just you, and then, like, is quantum crazy? Like, only a quantum computer could come up with this craziness. Like, the biggest quantum computer ever. You're literally all the parts. You're the Father, you're the Mother, you're you, you're your lumen, you're and you're the Son that's in the Mother, and the Mother's in, and it's your Father. It's like, what the hell? My brain is like about to snap. We have to break it into parts to understand it. But now the focus is on increasing the power of the Divine Masculine side, so we can smash things better. Basically, smash things better. I'm like, cool, awesome, but you got to go in order. You got to go in the order that she lays out. And the first thing is like, do you have enough willpower to stick to the protocols? Let's say you don't. Let's say you're having a hard time focusing. Well, that's where we come in. Do work with us. We'll go in like freaking Ripley at the end of freaking Aliens, clear that place out, blow it up, give you a pendant. Now that should dramatically help you by removing all that resistance, and then you've got the protocols to keep it going. Yeah. It's surprising how easy the energy work is. Like, that's the area where I'm really good at stepping into the Divine Masculine Father energy. It's any kind of energy work, anything we make. It's like, I just decide this is what this thing does. And it does it. She's like, all you got to do is learn how to do that with everything else in your life. So you're going to start doing that to the Black Mirror. We've pretty much detached from the Black Mirror. We're not listening to the Black Mirror anymore. Now we have to start impressing our will upon the Black Mirror, because the Black Mirror is, you're going to turn the Black Mirror into the shiny white mirror or something. I don't know. That's how you, and that matches with all the Nag Hammadi stuff about entering the kingdom. He's like, it's already in front of you. You just can't see it. You just can't see it. So that whole image in place of an image was the last thing in the equation. It's like we had to use all our combined masculine feminine power to clear out all the riffraff, break down everything we think we know, and then change the image in the mirror. So that's where we're at right now. Pretty interesting. So she wants me focusing on Eshal, and she's going to have me do a new sigil and kind of like an enhanced personal power oil. I'm like, well, you better get business rolling because I don't have a ton of these freaking fancy stones anymore. It's like, you get business rolling. Okay, that's the thing. It's like that's the thing about the sun child. It's like now the sun child has to learn how to make it happen himself, how to take on that authority and make it happen himself instead of asking mom and dad to do it. That's the sun child lesson. You got the power to do it, you just got to learn how to do it. And she points out, this is what you have not done yet. Okay, I think that's enough for right now. If you want any of this work done, you can contact us through the Etsy store, clumencreations.etsy.com. What's on the store is not the extent of what we have or what we can do or what we can make. So we're powering up the light, powering up the masculine side now. That's why she had me put this on. Probably can't see it. That's all the solar stones. Divine masculine personal power. But you got to go through the other stuff first, because quite frankly, most people are in their masculine energy and it's corrupted by the parasite. That's where you get this whole idea of toxic masculinity. And a couple weeks ago when she was talking about big dick energy and all this stuff, you like what you're cut off, what did they cut you off of from first? The divine mother, the divine feminine. So we have to go that side first. You got to get her help. Once you start getting to that point, clearing stuff out, and you've connected to her and things like that, then you start worrying about this. If you want to start diving into this too soon, that's usually a sign of a lot of ego attachment type stuff. Because I've always been content to just like do what I got to do, get what I can get. I'm just trying to get through this thing. So I wasn't really using that power unless I had to. And she's like, no, you have to use it on everything. But it's balanced and tempered by being in balance with the divine feminine. Sophia, Lumen, the whole spiel, the whole spectrum. Okay, so that's all we got for right now. Chris and Lumen. See you next time.